The average small business sees a 340% return over 3 years on AI investment. Real number. Also being used to sell you something that isn't guaranteed to happen to your business, and once you see why, you won't read a headline stat the same way again. Every business publication is running some version of this stat right now. $4.40 back for every dollar spent. Sounds like proof AI just works if you spend the money. Once you understand what an average actually hides, you'll read every one of these numbers differently, and you'll start asking a question most owners never bother asking about a headline stat. This year's small business tech surveys show 89% of small businesses now using AI in some form, up from 36% a few years back. 47% of owners report a revenue boost, averaging 21%. The 340% 3-year ROI figure sits on top of all of it. Read as a headline, that's a finished story. AI works, the data proves it, go buy something. Every one of those numbers is real. None of them tell you anything about what happens to your specific business if you buy something this week. I had a client last year who'd read a stat almost exactly like this one before we ever talked. Walked into our first call assuming AI was basically plug and play at this point, based on numbers like these she'd seen shared around in a business owner's Facebook group. Took about 10 minutes of actual conversation before she realized her one attempt, a free chatbot subscription no one on her team had ever configured, had nothing to do with the businesses posting those returns. She'd paid $19 a month for 4 months before canceling, never touched the settings once. Her exact words were something like, "I thought I already tried AI and it didn't work for my business." That sentence is doing a lot of quiet damage, because it sounds like a conclusion when it's actually a description of one unconfigured subscription that got canceled after 4 months. She'd made a category error, treating a single unconfigured attempt as a verdict on an entire technology, which is an easy error to make and an expensive one to leave uncorrected. She'd read the 340% stat, tried the cheapest, least configured version of AI available, gotten nothing, and concluded the stat was marketing. The stat held up fine. She'd simply never gotten anywhere near the businesses on the high end of that average. Here's what an average actually does, and it's worth doing the simple version of this math once so it sticks. Say 10 businesses in a survey got nothing from AI, 0 return, and 10 other businesses got genuine transformation, say 680%. Average those 20 businesses together and you land right at 340%. Not one single business in that survey actually experienced 340%. Half of them got nothing, half of them got double the headline number. The average describes a business that doesn't exist. And yet, it's the only number that makes it into the headline, the ad, and the sales page telling you to buy now. That's what's sitting underneath this stat. It blends businesses that configured AI properly, built real workflows, trained it on their actual data and their actual voice, together with businesses that opened a free tool once, got a generic output, and quietly stopped using it. 340% is what you get when you average genuine transformation against businesses that barely tried. The average is real. The question that actually matters is which half of it you're going to end up in. Surveys almost never publish that split because 340% average is a much better headline than half of you will get nothing and half of you will get a lot, depending entirely on whether you configure this correctly. One sentence sells a course and a subscription. The other sentence tells the truth and requires you to actually do something before it applies to you. Publications run the first one. The number itself is accurate, it's just incomplete, and incomplete is exactly what gets sold to you as finished. The most common reason businesses see nothing from AI has nothing to do with the technology failing. It's a hammer used as a screwdriver, then blamed for not driving the screw. ChatGPT and Google Gemini both have real hallucination rates, and that's just down to how the architecture of AI actually works. They're free models, and you largely get what you pay for. They're not configured for your business, your voice, your clients, your standards right out of the box. Of course, the output is generic. You gave it nothing specific to work with, same as my client and her chatbot. The businesses pulling 300% and 400% treated AI like a new hire, trained and configured with a specific role, specific inputs, and specific expected outputs. The same way you'd onboard a new employee instead of just handing them a desk and walking away hoping for the best. That takes real expertise. It doesn't happen by accident because you signed up for a subscription and hoped. Here's a rough way to tell which half you're likely headed toward before you spend anything. Did someone map the actual process this is supposed to touch, or did the purchase happen because a demo looked impressive? Is there a person accountable for training and correcting the output over the first few weeks, or is the assumption that it'll just work right out of the box? Is there a specific measurable thing this is supposed to change, something you could check in 30 days? Or is the goal something vague like using more AI? Answer those honestly before you spend $1, and you'll know which side of the 340% you're actually walking toward. Most owners can answer all 3 questions about a car lease without hesitating. Almost none of them have ever been asked to answer them about an AI purchase, which tells you something about how casually these decisions tend to get made. 1. If your one experience with AI was generic and unhelpful, that experience tells you nothing about whether AI works for your business. It tells you the attempt wasn't configured, which is a completely different problem with a completely different fix, and a much cheaper one than most owners assume once they actually see what fixing it looks like. My client's actual fix was someone building the thing properly instead of subscribing to it and hoping, same model, completely different outcome. 2. Next time you see a headline ROI number, ask what the businesses on the high end of that average actually did differently before you believe anything the number implies about your own likely outcome. That gap is where the real opportunity lives, not the average itself, and it's usually a smaller, cheaper gap to close than the size of the headline makes it feel. 3. Treating AI like a tool you install once is the most common reason owners land on the wrong side of that average. Treating it like a hire you configure and direct with real onboarding is what gets you on the right side of it. The businesses citing this stat about their own results next year are the ones treating it like the second thing right now, this quarter, not waiting for some future point when it'll feel more urgent. These ROI headlines are going to keep getting bigger and more impressive over the next year because the gap between properly configured businesses and businesses that barely tried is only going to widen. Owners who read the headline and assume the number applies to them automatically are going to keep getting disappointed. Owners who ask what configuration actually requires are the ones citing the stat about their own business next year. And the gap between those two groups compounds every quarter they stay on their current side of it. 340% will still be the headline. Fewer businesses will still be the ones actually living inside it, and that gap isn't going to close on its own. Before you react to another headline stat, it helps to know what your business actually needs and which half of that average you're realistically positioned to land in. The operational snapshot tells you exactly where the gap is. Free. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe so you can watch more videos about how to apply AI into your business.